Here's what Adam Warlock means for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. After seemingly endless speculation since the character first appeared in the post-credit scene of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Adam Warlock is officially joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Who?
Adam Warlock. I know it sounds made up, but that's comics, baby. On Monday, writer-director James Gunn confirmed Deadline's report that Midsommar actor Will Poulter will bring Marvel's Jesus Christ Superstar fanfiction to life in the third Guardians movie. We're going to break down who Adam Warlock is, what his casting means for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and what it can tell us about the film's big bad. And while this is speculation for the time being, if we're correct, that could be considered a spoiler. So if you're worried about that kind of thing, make for the nearest exit before things get weird. Alright, let's get into it, shall we? So you may be wondering, who is Adam Warlock and why should you care? Well, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we've only seen the character in pod form, which is a lot like Pog form, but with less Alf. During Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2's post-credit scene, Aisha, the Golden High Priestess of the Sovereign, reveals that she created the next step in our evolution, a highly advanced living weapon designed to destroy the Guardians of the Galaxy. Clearly, she's still very angry with them for stealing her sweet golden batteries, and we'll get back to what that means for the MCU in just a moment. In the comics, Adam Warlock first appeared in 1967's Fantastic Four number 66. Created by a mysterious group of scientists known as the Enclave, Adam Warlock was originally only known as Him. Him was a creature designed to be the apex of human evolution, and naturally Him immediately escaped, lashed out at his creators, and was nearly beaten to death by Thor. Licking his wounds, Him crawled back into a cocoon so he could regenerate and wait to be reborn, like any teenager would. Years later, Him was reborn and dubbed Warlock by his newfound father figure, the High Evolutionary, a genetics-obsessed human scientist who has connections to parallel realities, Wanda Maximoff, and the Darkhold, just to name a few. Anyway, he implanted the Soul Stone in Warlock's forehead, gave him a new purpose in life, and took him to live on Counter-Earth, a planet that was slightly out of dimensional sync with our reality to hide it from interlopers. Later given the first name of Adam by a teenager on Counter-Earth, Adam Warlock has all manner of superhuman abilities: super strength, super speed, telepathy, energy absorption, energy manipulation, you name it. Basically, he's one of the most powerful people in the Marvel Universe, especially when augmented by something like the Soul Stone. Now, he's been part of countless storylines over the years with cosmic implications, like the Infinity Gauntlet storyline, but one of the most enduring Adam Warlock stories is his battle with Magus, a malevolent version of himself from the future, who basically becomes this like purple Paul Atreides by founding the Universal Church of Truth, and then conquers the galaxy through a holy war. Go see Dune, October 22nd. And while this storyline feels ripe for adaptation given the MCU's foray into time travel, the multiverse, and its increasing cosmic focus, it's also a little bit too early in Adam Warlock's cinematic timeline to drop that on unsuspecting viewers. Rather, if we see any part of this in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, it's going to be a trip to Counter-Earth, or maybe even Mount Wundagore to confront the High Evolutionary, who's most likely pulling the strings behind not only Aisha and Adam Warlock, but also Rocket Raccoon as well. And speaking of Rocket, James Gunn revealed on Twitter during an April 2020 viewing party of Guardians of the Galaxy that Rocket and his origin will be a big part of what's happening in the future, and a lot of this stuff, like the scars we're about to see on his back, sets up what I've been planning for Rocket all along. Over the course of Rocket's story arc in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we've seen this gruff, weapon-obsessed, cybernetically enhanced raccoon mercenary only out for himself turn into a gruff, weapon-obsessed, cybernetically enhanced raccoon mercenary who cares deeply for his chosen family, even if he doesn't like to admit it. But there's still a lot of pain and unresolved trauma around Rocket's origins and the scientists who turned him into a living weapon that would be ripe for exploration in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And what better way to connect the narrative threads of Aisha, Adam Warlock, and the Guardians of the Galaxy than with the High Evolutionary? A geneticist obsessed with pushing evolution to its limits, the High Evolutionary first appeared in 1966's Thor 134, and he lived in a citadel atop Mount Wundagore. Searching for Jane Foster, Thor discovered the High Evolutionary, creating the Ani-Men, a highly advanced race of humanoid animals to serve in his army. In particular, when Thor first arrives, he discovers the High Evolutionary experimenting on a wolf to push the creature to its maximum genetic potential. Looking at these panels, it's not hard to imagine that before working his way up to a wolf, the High Evolutionary started his experiments on smaller game like, say, raccoons. And considering that we last saw Thor off gallivanting about with the Guardians at the end of Avengers Endgame, it stands to reason we could see this storyline make its way into the Guardians threequel as well. Now, we've already established the comics connection between Adam Warlock and the High Evolutionary, but what about Aisha? While Aisha asserts that she's responsible for creating Adam Warlock in Guardians Volume 2, in the comics she's actually also a product of the Enclave, a genetic twin of Adam Warlock. She was hell-bent on finding her twin and mating with him to create a new race of genetically perfect super beings. And that search took her all around the galaxy, involving everyone from the Fantastic Four to the Guardians to the High Evolutionary. And look, I don't think we're going to get a one-to-one adaptation of that particular storyline, but we could learn that the High Evolutionary is a member of the Enclave in the MCU, or maybe has connections to the Sovereign People. Maybe he's even a member of the Sovereign People, or maybe someone who helped aid their technological development. Who knows? Maybe we'll even get the old switcheroo and find out the High Evolutionary actually created Aisha as well. Regardless, while Adam Warlock might initially be sicked on the Guardians by Aisha, he could in turn find kinship with someone like Rocket, who was similarly turned into a living weapon against his will, and then help this rough-and-tumble raccoon get the closure he so desperately needs. But with that said, hopefully not too much closure, like a coffin closure, because as James Gunn has previously teased, there's going to be a major character death in Guardians Volume 3. And while this could be a fitting end for Rocket's story, I'm not sure that I'm ready to bid this character farewell yet and see him die tragically on the big screen. But the question of which Guardians characters will live and die in this third act of this cinematic trilogy, that's a video and a question for another day. For now, though, we're mostly excited to see Adam Warlock join the Marvel Cinematic Universe in all of his blonde-haired, golden-skinned cosmic glory. And who knows, maybe his appearance will set up the MCU's eventual adaptation of the Annihilation Wave storyline as well. And before you say it, yes, I know, he was chilling in a cocoon for most of that story, it's kind of his signature move, but he did go back in time with Thanos to undo all the damage, so technically, he's the exclamation point at the end of that sentence. Anyway, folks, there you have it. Adam Warlock is joining Guardians Volume 3, and it's giving us wild ideas about the true villain of that movie. Of course, we'll have to wait until May 5th, 2023 to find out for certain, but in the meantime, we'll have you covered with all manner of MCU goodness over on Nerdist.com. For now, though, tell us, what do you think of this news? Who do you think Guardians Volume 3's villain will actually be? And who do you think is going to die?
Hey, you're the one who said you wanted to die among friends.
Let us know in the comments below, and for the latest and greatest in the world of pop culture, stay tuned to Nerdist.com.